Okay, folks, welcome to our President-elect Session 2. It's Mark, moderator online again. We're getting ready to start our presentation this evening. Our presenters tonight are going to be Doug Logan and Paul Roy. Doug is going to start off first. He'll be presenting Time for Rotary and doing the PR piece. And then Paul will be coming on doing membership. We also have our DGE on board tonight, Greg, as well as the DGEN, I think, Stella. I never remember all the acronyms at the end. So I'm going to be offline for a few moments because I'm going to try to help one of your fellow attendees get hooked up. So I'm going to mute myself momentarily, and then I'll be talking him through the call. So welcome, everybody. I notice Pamela Borden's coming online as well. So momentarily I'll be muting myself, and then I'll be handing it over to Doug. So everybody have a good meeting tonight, and go Rotary. Okay, Doug, it's all on you, my friend.
Thanks, Mark. And thanks for all the effort you put into organizing all this stuff. It's very impressive. So welcome, everybody. What I'm going to do for the next little while is I want to talk to you about the district resource Time for Rotary, and more specifically, I'll start off by giving you a little bit of background about how it came about. I'm going to walk you through the site, not in detail, but there are some things that I want to highlight. I want to show you the resources that are available for you and how you can use them. And then I want to talk about the Rotary International Public Image Grant that we are going to be applying for and how you can use that. So to start off, the District Public Relations Committee looked at a number of different ways that we could focus on improving membership. We applied last year for a grant from Rotary International and were turned down. But the district felt that the issue was so important that they put resources into going ahead anyway. We contracted with a company called Fresh Media, which is based in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and over a number of months worked through the creation of this site, which I'll walk through. And by the way, what I would really strongly encourage each of you to do is when you have 15 or 20 minutes, go to the site on your own and spend the time learning about it and understanding it, because I'll be going through it more quickly than you otherwise would this evening. So one of the pieces of the contract that we had with Fresh Media was that they were to do some research prior to creating the web page. That research involved looking at what other Rotary and other sites were doing, but they also spent time interviewing Rotarians and non-Rotarians. And in a nutshell, what we ended up with is that there were a couple of key issues that this site responds to. The first one is that it isn't that people don't volunteer because they don't have time, but it's about the choices that people make. Everybody has time to volunteer. What they choose to volunteer for is the issue. So that is what came up with the idea Time for Rotary. It is just a question of whether or not people make Rotary a priority. And so the focus here is on getting people to think about, well, I do have time, and maybe Rotary ought to be the focus of that time, or one of the focuses of that time. The other key issue that most Rotarians know very well, and you all probably know this, is that the significant majority of Rotarians never ask anybody to join Rotary. There are a number of reasons for that that I don't think we need to get into, but what we wanted to do was to find a way to make it easy for Rotarians to ask. And I'll come back to that point later on. So what you see right now is once somebody has put in www.timeforrotary.com, this is the page that they end up at. I'm going to go through some of the pieces really quickly. It includes a whole process of helping people to think through their relationship with the community and so on, and what they think of Rotary. And you'll see that I've just quickly gone through a few slides here to get people thinking about themselves and Rotary, and whether or not they might have time. So we talk a little bit about Rotary and the district. And then what I'm going to do, and I understand that there may be some issues, but what I want to show you is this video that Fresh Media created.
Hello.
Fuck. Okay, so I just had a note that people aren't getting the sound. Is that true? Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is, Doug.
Okay. Then I'm not going to. Then what I'm going to do, just in the interest of time and being able to focusing forward, I'm not going to bother playing the videos. As I said before, I would really encourage you to do that. That video that I was showing you was created using images that we received from a number of clubs in the district. So you may or may not recognize some of the people in that video. So I just encourage you to go to the site and look through the videos, watch the videos, and there's in addition to that one, there are a couple of other ones on this page here that you'll see, and another one from Great Britain and Ireland that I personally think is bloody awesome, very inspiring, and it's on this page here. So anybody visiting the site would walk through one slide at a time. You'll see where you can see up at the top right-hand side with the yellow banner. You can just click on, and it takes you to the next page, and so on. And you can also speed through to the end, which I've done here. What happens here is somebody, a non-Rotarian or otherwise, visiting this site will end up at this page. If they're interested, all they have to do is put in their name, their email address, their location. As you'll see, you have an opportunity to pick the particular area you're from, and then they can write some comments, and then they submit this. And the purpose, the reason for doing this is, again, it helps with the ask. What happens, that email goes into district administration, and they send a copy to the district membership chair and the membership coordinator in a particular area, so that we are able to follow up. And that provides us a direct opportunity to contact that person directly and say, well, there is this club or these clubs in your particular area, and to follow through. Now, what I would like you to do, can you see where it says share the message? It is hard to see, but it's fine for Rotarians. If you go to share the message and click on it, if you're a Rotarian, you come to this page. And here's what we've done to make it easy for Rotarians. All Rotarians have to do, most Rotarians aren't salespeople, and they find it very difficult to make the ask. So what this does is lets you do it easily. Send an email to people in your contact list or people you think would be interested in Rotary or make great Rotarians, and send them an email. And what I'll do here is I'll click that is what that person would receive. This is just a mock-up of what that person receives. So you fill in the relevant information and then you just send it on, which we think is something that once clubs get focused and organized on it, it's going to be a really effective tool. But more importantly than that, as I scroll down, if you scroll down on this page, you'll see a huge list of resources that are now available to you. You can grab these anytime. 11 by 17 poster in 2 different formats. Don't ask me what EPS is. It's something a printer would know, or a PDF format. You can print these yourselves. You can hire a printer to print a number of them, whatever. Calling cards that you can create if you wanted to do a particular campaign. A timeline cover image for you to put on your web page or Facebook. The district display icon. Excuse me, newsprint materials, 3 different sizes in black and white or color that you could contract with your local media to print. The video that you saw that you couldn't hear that I showed earlier on. A broadcast video. We've also got a 30-second radio ad, which is the sound from the broadcast video, and then QR codes. So there are a variety of resources that the district has made available to you, and you can use them in any way. You can take them, you can adjust them. We know the clubs have started to do that, putting on QR codes and so on, and it's entirely up to you as to how you use that. So Mark, I wonder if you could just quickly unmute people so before I do the next piece, if I could invite people to ask.
All unmuted, Doug.
So are there any questions before I do the next piece?
Sorry about that. I'm deep.
Okay, thanks, Mark. No questions? Okay, then I'll move on. And what I want to talk about now is Rotary International Public Image Grant. Rotary International has resources that they make available every year to support districts to improve their public image and their public relations efforts. We have decided to apply, and I'm hoping to have the application go in the next day or two, to Rotary International for a grant to do the following. Transcontinental Media, or TC Media, which is probably the biggest media newspaper in Atlantic Canada, has agreed to engage in a partnership with us over the next 3 years so that all clubs will have an opportunity to participate in this opportunity. So what we're going to do in urban markets over 5 weeks, starting in September, October, over 5 weeks, Transcontinental will put in 13 quarter-page advertisements that will run at the rate of 3 a week, plus an additional Saturday campaign launch. Rural markets, that's with weekly newspapers, and that for the start, that means the Annapolis Valley clubs. A 13-week period with a quarter-page ad running in each of the weekly papers. TC Media will provide 90,000 online page impressions and a Yahoo campaign. For this, clubs are going to need, Transcontinental will also publish 4 editorial features in each of the particular areas on Rotary in Action. And that probably is going to mean 1 feature from different clubs, and Transcontinental will publish those. For that to happen, that means the clubs will need to create the editorial feature. Anyway, the costs associated with it, the project has a total cost of $51,000. Sorry, somebody's asked to repeat where it's going to publish. Is that the question? So where it's going to publish, we're going to rotate it. The first year, assuming we get the grant, the first year it will be in St. John's, Newfoundland, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and the Annapolis Valley. The idea is over the second and third years, based on what kind of results we have, we will rotate it so that at the end of the third year, all clubs will have had the opportunity to participate. So, cost of this is a $51,000 project, $31,000 of which is being provided in kind by TC Media. Of the remaining $20,000, $15,000 is going to be provided by Rotary International, assuming they approve the grant, and participating clubs would be responsible for the remaining $5,000. But what that means, though, is assuming we get the buy-in from clubs and clubs willing to participate, is your club will get to participate for something in the area of $200 to $300, which is a huge value. So what we will be doing over the next while is once the application is in, and as soon as we get a sense from Rotary as to where it's at, we will communicate in more detail with clubs so that you can understand more about what the program involves and what the opportunity is for you. In a nutshell, the PR committee is really excited about it because we think that it is a huge opportunity. There's no way any club could purchase for $200 or $300 what we're going to get from this. Just the scale of it, and by clubs being able to work together on it, we think it's awesome. So basically, that is it. So, Mark, if you can unmute.
I don't believe we're muted right now.
Oh, okay. So I would welcome. So, Corey, I noticed you had a comment there. Speak it out loud.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I love the idea. It's just too bad our paper isn't owned by TCC.
Well, the beauty of the resources is that if you just look at the screen and you look at all of these, all right, you still are in a position to begin to negotiate something with them. And which paper do you have?
The Bridgewater Bulletin, and it's privately owned.
Right. Well, I would still strongly encourage you to, to begin a discussion with them as to what you may be able to do. And I'd also encourage you to be thinking about the video and the radio ad as, in terms of what you could do with those. What I've been told by people in the business is that most radio stations will be happy to air the ad.
I'm going to give it a try.
Any other comments or questions? I know I went through it really quickly.
I think that the Halifax Chronicle Herald goes to areas that a lot of clubs are in, and I'm not sure who owns it. I think the Dennis family owns it, so I don't think TCC are involved in that either.
That's correct. The Chronicle Herald is not part of it, and my understanding of people in that area is, it's a different relationship with them. They tend to want the money for the ad.
Right. I'm not sure about the Metro News whether that is or not.
Transcontinental has papers in the Halifax area, but that is they freely admit that's not their strongest area.
Yeah. Okay.
It's Corey again. We've been trying to get different things in with our paper here. It seems they have a lot of connection, or the Lions Club seems to have a lot of connections with the paper, and are able to get a lot more things in than we can.
I believe that's true, and a lot of it is about relationships.
Yeah. But I just back to that that email invite. I love that. That's cool. I'm going to give that a try tomorrow.
And
Is it working right now? Like we can utilize that now?
Oh yeah. Everything
Okay.
I showed you, you can. Every one of you can stay awake all night long sending emails. Which, of course, as good Rotarians, you'll do.
Well, that's right.
And Corey, it's easy to get on if you go right to the district website too.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I would really encourage people to do, the problem with the PR grant, the resources are limited, so we had to pick 3 areas. That's why we wanted a 3-year program to be able to rotate it around and give as many clubs as possible the opportunity to participate. But I really would encourage you to look at the other resources. And Rotarians are smart, creative people. You will come up with ideas that we haven't thought of. Let me just give you a little example. You could, as the club, could decide to print out a bunch of business cards for everybody and do a little campaign where you walk around town handing them out. That may or may not be a good idea. I'm just saying that if you get your heads together in terms of examining what's there, I just have complete confidence in your ability to come up with something creative. And don't get hung up on whether or not you have a relationship with the newspaper, because there's lots of other things that you can do. So if there are no other questions or comments.
So just one quick question.
Yep.
I'm with the Summerside Rotary Club. So does that mean we'll be seeing this in the 2nd year, did you say, or the 3rd year? What was it?
Let's put it this way. One of the members of the Public Relations Committee is a guy named Sandy Run.
I know Sandy quite well.
So we have to work out the details, but I'm kind of assuming, don't quote me on this, I'm assuming it's all a PEI in the 1st year.
So Sandy knows all about this then, obviously.
Oh, Sandy was actively involved in creating the whole thing.
Gotcha. I thought maybe that was what happened. Okay, great. Glad to hear it.
So at your next meeting, just to make sure he knows you want to be part from the beginning.
Okay, will do.
Okay, so I'm going to give back control and use this as an opportunity to thank everybody for what you do for Rotary, and I'll say good evening.
Doug, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
A lot of you may not know this, but go to our Rotary. Excuse me. Time for Rotary has been a big hit right across the Rotary world. Doug is getting replies and requests from a number of districts around the world on how they might be able to get licensed to use it, and he and his committee have done a fantastic job, and I would encourage all those in the 3 areas that are going to come up this year to give a lot of thought on how they might make use of it, because I'm sure this next program will be every bit as good as go to meeting. Or go to Time for Rotary, sorry.
So I'm having a bit of a problem. It's telling me I have control, and then it tells me that Stella has control. So I don't know what's...
I'm going to hand it back. I'll hand it back now again to Stella. And
Thank you.
Stella will be the presenter momentarily. And you'll be out of the loop, Doug.
I'm out of it.
You're out. Okay, bud. Now, before everybody gets going again, I'm going to let Stella do the intro for our next session. But I'm going to mute everybody again except for Stella. And she'll be the one introing Paul, because they're in the same residence, I'm pretty sure, right now. And I'm going to mute everybody. And again, use your chat function as necessary. Okay, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Off to you, Stella.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, that's fantastic.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm going to introduce my husband, Paul, and then we have to take 1 second while I hand the headset over to him, because we are actually on the same computer today. So I would like to introduce to you Paul Roy. Paul Roy has been involved in membership for at least 2 or 3 years now, and he delivered a fantastic presentation to us at the district in February. And he's going to try and capture some of that on slides for all of you tonight. And I'm sure he will ask to unmute, maybe Mark, to unmute people from time to time if he wants people to ask questions. So I'm just going to hand over, so if you can bear with us for 1 second, and we'll be off.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Nobody's going to hear me. Okay. Welcome and thank you. For some reason, I tried to log into my computer and it had me locked out. And it's strange because I use GoToMeeting almost on a daily basis. So all very strange. But welcome incoming presidents and secretaries to this training. And this is basically with respect to membership and what each, as leaders of your clubs, you really need to pay close attention. And and there's more than just to bringing in new members. And it's we're talking about recruitment and retention of existing members, and of course extension. And extension would be, for example, last year with the formation of the new club in Sackville area, and with the new E-Club that's underway being set up over in Newfoundland. That would be considered extension. And what % of your members are bringing in new members? What makes a club attractive to attend? What are the barriers to new members? And ideas for continuing education orientation? And how do we engage new members? So here's a little bit of data. 10 years ago, there were 1,225,000 Rotarians in the world. And now there are currently 1,227,000. And that's after they brought in 1,200,000. So over a 10-year period, basically, we had 100% turnover. Just to make this number a little bit more interesting, in our own North America and the United States, with the year ended, Rotary year ended in June 30th of 2012, Rotary in North America had recruited 56,000 new members. Can you imagine? 56,000 new members. And we lost 62,000. So we're not doing a very good job of keeping our members. And that means that we'd have to pay closer attention to what type of clubs that we run. I would also like to point out that our district, 7820, was the best district year ended in June 2012. In all of Canada, Northern United States, and Eastern Russia, we had the best membership growth in all of Rotary in that area. So it's something to be very proud of, and thank you to Bill Lemon and his team of membership people across our district that have worked hard to get those numbers to come up. But here are some things we're going to talk about, things, and you'll see in the bottom of this slide, that keep the back door closed. So we have to make sure our club meeting is the most exciting hour of the week for your members. And I can tell you, if your membership meetings is a long lineup of all of the associations in your city and town who are not-for-profits are coming to tell you about their need for money, you're going to wear out and bore your members. Your clubs need to have a very good strategic plan which outlines the areas that your club support within the community and internationally. The rest of your meetings should be interesting people in your community, business leaders, people who could also be potential new members. So we're dealing with retention in terms of how we keep our new members. We should put the same energy, of course, to keeping an old member. I'd be considered one of those, I suppose, and we are putting into recruiting a new one. A specific measure should be put in place when a member expresses his desire to quit the club. A meeting with a club officer should be arranged to know the reasons a member is quitting and to see how we could accommodate them. We've got to promote the 5 avenues of service and also the great importance of some club members. Do not neglect any of those 5 avenues and offer them as an opportunity to serve. Match your members with their passions and they will want to invest their time. Just a little something, a little tip that I did in my membership year 3 years ago at Halifax Harborside is that I scheduled 2 months out of my 12 months as president where I would take 3 members a day, every business day for that month, and I would phone each member individually and ask them if we're getting it done for them. How are we doing? Are you happy? Is the club fulfilling your needs and desires? And it's amazing. Your members will tell you that, you know, they're bored or they're happy or it's great, but just don't send around a sign-up sheet for what committees they're going to serve on. Take the time to ask them, because if you can align their passions with their committees that they're going to serve on, you're going to have happy members. And put this akin to, for example, your business. You certainly don't want the sales guys mucking about in your accounting department, and you don't want your accountants out in the front line doing the selling. So for heaven's sake, let's make sure that we get our members in the right slots. And what ideas will you bring to your club to develop a sense of belonging, to have better retention? And what are the basic elements in an effective club and continuing education? Who are you? What do you stand for? How are you different? Why should someone join your club? And you can see there that they join for different reasons: fellowship, diversity, integrity. Some want leadership. Some want to create more business relationships and networking. And as you'll see there, a worldwide network of inspired individuals who translate their passions into relevant social causes to change lives and communities. So why is it important? Well, before we induct a member, we should have education, orientation, how we're going to integrate in the club. A lot of clubs provide mentors for their new members. In other words, take one of your long-standing good members and buddy them up or partner them with one of the new members. They check in with them on a regular basis. Do you have any questions? There is so much in Rotary in terms of what's offered that it can be just far too much to take in a short period of time. And of course, we should get our members involved in leadership training and an important part of being a future member. And people do want to serve, but we have to ask them. And what steps are your club taking to ensure the candidates for membership will be informed, qualified, and committed? So again, we need to communicate with them. And as Bill Lemon loves to say, get your ass in gear. That's to get them to join the club, and once they're in the club, keep asking them if they're happy. What can we do to make you a fully committed Rotarian? So from the Rise Star program, special training and action for Rotary. Identify, we've informed them, we're going to invite them, we're going to orient them, deduct them, educate them, and most importantly, we're going to involve them. So new member orientation. What are the benefits of membership? What are your responsibilities of being a member? In other words, you know, you're expected to, you know, minimum, for example, some clubs police themselves in terms of membership, but you should identify with a member what the responsibility is. And that, you know, you should make it to at least 2 to 3 meetings a month and at least, you know, attend one of your committee meetings. And of course, express to them the value of doing visitation to other clubs within your zone or within your area. Your opportunities for service, and again, that's matching them to what their passions are, whether it's digging a well in Africa, going off to work in the DR project, where some of our district members are this week, and the purpose and the history and the mission of Rotary. The involvement connection of the new members, and once again, just as we were talking about with retention, we need to have mentoring for new members. Do these things and you will have a successful club. So we all know the importance of recruitment, and sometimes you go, you know, this is, you know, obvious, but, you know, to recruit them, they need to have something to come for. We need to identify quality members, identify new classifications, and how are we going to reach potential members? Whether it's social media, of course, many of the people here are listening to this training this evening are actively involved, and their clubs are actively involved in social media. And it's a wonderful way to get awareness for Rotary. And of course, Doug's with his Time for Rotary, we can send them out to friends and they can look at it and view it. But at the end of the day, there still needs to be an ask. And within each of your clubs, you have people like me that are quite comfortable in going and asking people if they want to join Rotary. And so, you know, if you yourself or your members aren't comfortable in doing it, you know, please let your membership share people know that we've got somebody that you'd like to invite. I need some help and want to make sure they get here. In your experience, what benefits have recruitment brought to your club? What obstacles to recruitment are specific to your community? And what methods can you identify new classifications? There's not as much attention paid to classifications nowadays as there used to be years ago. I mean, basically, if people want to serve, we want them involved. But classification is somewhat important in our clubs in that it gives our club balance, and that we don't have too many bankers or lawyers or, heaven forbid, salespeople like myself. That we have well-rounded clubs, and it helps us bring a better balance. And is your club ready for new members to come? So when they come, what sort of program do you have? And I talked about that earlier. Retention of keeping your members happy and providing good programs and good speakers is just as equally equivalent to new members. And if you have dynamic speakers, your members are going to want to go out and tell other people, look, you've got to come. What a fabulous talk we had this week. Before you do a large recruiting campaign, make sure your club is exciting. And it just backs up what I just said. If it's exciting, they will come. And I want to back up. The other thing that hasn't been talked about in this slide is that your club should be socially active. Find ways to get your members together, whether it's, you know, potluck dinners, whether it's having fun nights at somebody's house playing charades. I mean, there's a gazillion different ways that you can find fun. And if I may tell a story from my own personal club, at Christmas time, we do toys for the Association of Family, and we draw cards and we get a girl's gift for a girl age 8. But the trick is that we get partnered up with a member in the club, and you have to buy a gift that, although for an 8-year-old, most resembles the other member in the club. And then the fun part is that we have a little tournament to see who can guess the most events. Well, at the end of the night, we all have sore ribs from laughing, and we have crates full of toys going off to the Association for Family for Needy Kids at Christmas. And that's a fun social event that was easy peasy, $10 gifts, and we got cases of gifts going out to needy kids. So there's lots of interesting ways to get your club socially engaged and make it fun. Extension, something that you know is good for presidents and secretaries when you're thinking of when you're losing a new member. Is it, for example, going back to the retention piece? Is it having to do with the meeting time? Is it a time for another club, or is there a void in your area? And don't be afraid of helping get a new club started in your community. It will strengthen your own club. It will bond your own club. And one of the most wonderful things that you can do as a Rotarian is to help sponsor and get another club going. When we launched a Sackville and area club, we had a team of about 10 Rotarians in Metro who religiously showed up at the meetings before the club was even chartered. And it was just a wonderful experience to engage our people. And here I see from Corey, hey, now I'm a banker. Yes, I don't want to pick on bankers. They're a necessary part of our business. and of course a necessary part of Rotary. So understand the importance of bringing and starting new clubs. The decline in the number of current and prospective members due to inconvenient meeting time, we talked about the club. The club has outgrown the facilities available in the community. There's high growth in the community. Community needs greater than current club's ability to serve. Cost of membership is too expensive. I've got a little interesting something to mention here, and for those of you who are in larger clubs, say 60, 70 members, I know a club that has made a conscious decision that once, and it's a fast-growing club that's now in the mid-40s, that the club is openly discussed when we get over 60 members that we would split the club into 2 clubs. Because clubs that are growing, much like churches in your communities, you know, when they're growing, people get together, the money's raised, the buildings are built. But when clubs get to a certain size, you get comfortable. And I'm not saying they don't do great work and don't raise money, but it's sort of, you get into maintenance mode and sort of doing the same projects you have done year over year. So don't be afraid to start a new club in your community. Other clubs, you know, in communities that have had new clubs started have thrived because it's made themselves pay more attention to themselves to be better clubs. What steps can you do to address club membership issues? Again, we've talked some of these things. You need to have a strong membership committee. Somebody in your club who is the champion of the club, got their fingers on the pulse, they've got their antenna up, always looking for prospective members. But membership committee is just not about recruitment. It's about retention as well. And have a system in place for new member application and integration. Make them feel welcome. Get them to do their classification speech as soon as possible. Today's younger environment don't quite understand the positive impact of giving because it takes a while to feel the effects of giving to come back. They're looking for something more immediate. They want to give, but if they have their chance to do their classification, or if the club knows who they are and what they do, and they're, you know, and Corey gets up and does his classification talk on why he loves being a banker and why he's a Rotarian, that they get an immediate impact, an immediate feeling of belonging if they get to tell the club who they are. So those classification talks are key to keeping your members engaged. Fireside chats. Get your new members together and with some of the members, go down to a local pub and have a beer and just have a chat. Again, we talked earlier about education, new members having mentors or even members who are slipping away and not showing up. Have your committee, membership committee assign somebody in the club to keep close to that member who's drifting away. Let's get them re-engaged. Let's get them involved in the committees that they're passionate about. The membership chair for our district in the last few years has been Bill Lemon. He's just done an amazing job. We have 6 coordinators throughout the district, and your AGs are all there to help support you and strengthen your clubs. And see our district strategic plan. Go to the district website on 7820, and there's all the, you know, the strategic plan for the district is there. If your club doesn't have a strategic plan, it's time you get one. And the beauty of having a strategic plan, pardon me, that's our dog's squeaking a toy in there behind me if you can hear it, and that with a strategic plan, when associations approach you looking for money and everybody's wearing their heart on their sleeve and the club feels, oh, we should give them money, go back to your strategic plan. In your strategic plan should be the organizations or types of things that you support. So if you're going to support this organization, you know, you better understand that it's stepping outside the plan. And that if you have extra Sun funds set aside for that, that's fine. But this will help keep you on track and to deal with those requests for funds. What would you like to be a club that fully understands the value of making new members, the #1 focus. Have talks about membership at every meeting, not just a few times a year. And I can tell you now, having been involved in the membership committee for the last few years, and this is kudos to your district executive team, and that for all of the district meetings, membership is given a very high priority at all of these meetings. And you know, it's starting to show. Our district has a wonderful momentum, and we have an opportunity for those like Bill Lemon and those before us who have really taken the lead. And you know, we're going to be well up over 100 new members net this year in our district. And you know, we were down below 1,500 members. We're going to be over 1,700 members. 10 years ago, we had over 2,000 members in this district. And wouldn't it lovely to be over 2,000 members in our district once again? So that's the end of the show. Goodness, Mark, I'm on Stella's machine here, and I don't know where just to go and do the handoff. Back to you.
Hi, Paul.
And,
can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
What I'm going to do is, Debbie Gascoigne, we are looking for ideas on how young graduates who cannot afford membership fees can join Rotary. Any thoughts on that, Paul?
Interesting. I had this discussion with a couple of the district leaders a couple of months ago. And it's, you know, at some point the club should be doing this, in my opinion, you know, but of your club's dues, you know, $130, $140 a year are going to the district. I mean, that's what the district is billing your club. The other portion of your dues are going to service club account and not the service account. So, you know, the club has to decide if they're going to invest in those new members, but that cost comes out of your club operating account. But you know, that's one idea to do it. The other idea to do it is to start an Interact club or start a Rotaract club. Get your high school kids in your neighborhood involved. They don't have to pay the full membership dues. They can come to your meetings. They grow into being future Rotarians and future leaders.
Paul, I'm just wondering if you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Greg, I'm just wondering if you want to chime in on that. Debbie Gascoigne has had a question. We're looking for ideas on how young graduates who cannot afford membership fees can join Rotary. Do you have anything to add there to what Paul had just said?
Well, I know that there are a couple of clubs, our club included, that have are coming up with a plan, basically to help for the first couple of years subsidize the dues. Paul was right when he on the figure he gave for dues there, and only $60 of that is the district dues. The rest is insurance, which is a set fee, and the other one is the RI dues. So and that's set by somebody outside the district. But our club is helping subsidize the dues for a couple of years, and also providing the meal.
Okay, folks.
It is just, if I may, Mark, again, I think it is something that we're going to talk about at the district level. If there's anything we can help clubs do, but the bulk of it is going to have to come from the individual clubs.
Okay. Okay, folks. If there's any other questions, you can just use the button in the attendee list and raise your hands, or you can type it in chat. If there's not any other questions, Debbie just says thank you very much. Thanks for the question, Debbie. What I'm going to do is I have a little poll I'm going to launch momentarily.
Mark, just before
sure.
you do that, can I add something else?
Sure, go ahead.
I would like to thank both Paul and Doug for their presentations tonight. And from these presentations, you can see why this district is having the success it is in membership growth. The goal for the district next year is a growth of 2 members per club. You may recall from last week's sessions, I had stated we had an increase in membership of 2.5%. But we are still a long way off. Like Paul had just mentioned, we were over 2,000 members just a few years ago. This has repercussions through the whole district. We have less dues to run the district. We do less projects. Clubs with membership below 20 have a difficult time running an effective club. And I would just like to leave you with a few words from RI President Ron Burton about membership development, which he insisted is a responsibility of every Rotarian. He said that although he had been an active member of the Key Club, a youth program of the Kiwanis National, he went on to join Rotary, simply because the Rotary Club of Norman, Oklahoma asked him to. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight. I hope you got something out of the sessions, and we'll see you next week, or 2 weeks' time, I guess it is. Mark, back to you.
Yep, sorry about that, folks. I just ended up muting myself. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me, Greg?
Yes, I can.
Okay, folks, I've unmuted everybody who hadn't muted themselves, and what I'm going to ask now is there's a little poll I'm going to launch now momentarily, and just a second now. This is we're just playing with this again to see how everybody's doing it, so launch. Can you see the poll yet? Oh, yeah, people are answering.
Yes, we can, Mark.
Excellent, good.
I can. Yep.
I'm looking at
Yeah,
people.
I can see it. Fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at people who are voting. And we still got
I can't vote.
couple more people. 100% voting. I'm going to close the poll now and show everybody. But it looks like not many people surprised that the most people haven't brought a person into Rotary personally. And I think that's an interesting comment that, you know, you folks, as I'm sure Greg would, and Paul would point out tonight, are obviously you're the executives of your clubs. You're probably the most engaged Rotarians, or some of the most engaged Rotarians to take on these roles. And even yourselves find that it's a challenge, or you haven't done it yourself. So it's something you should all consider. That's how many of us start growing Rotary ourselves, is think, who in the community do you think would be a contributing member? So I encourage all of you to consider someone in your own communities, and to invite them for lunch or supper or breakfast, whatever your club meets. Just to consider that. What's going to happen now at the end of the session, there's going to be an evaluation which will launch. What will happen is I have to end the session for you first before that can launch. I think Stella has gone. Pretty sure
Yes,
she's
she
gone.
has.
Okay. So Greg, it's just me and you left. So what I'm going to suggest is I'm going to end the session for everybody else. And if you and Stella want to get together for another post-meeting debrief before our meeting that's going to come up in the next couple of days, just send me an email with the time. Tomorrow evening is good for me, and my schedule is pretty loose tomorrow. So what's going to happen is I'm going to stop the recording now. This recording...
Posters and calling cards that are on the Time for Rotary. Has there been any thought to make them so we can put our own names in them, like Bridgewater Rotary Club? And they're great poster ads, but I wish we could put in like Bridgewater Rotary Club. So when I put these in the paper, I could also put the time and location and...
Corey, Greg, I'll step in there. Corey, what I'm going to ask is if after this meeting's over, you should have gotten a couple of emails from me in the lead up to the sessions, Mark Linehan. Send me an email. I know that the Grand Falls Windsor Club president, Kim McDonald, has done a number of things with the Time for Rotary. They've inserted a QR code to the Time for Rotary posters, so it actually clicks to their site as well. So they've done a few things with the Time for Rotary posters and the pre-printed stuff that's available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the power of Rotary to connect you two up. So send me an email after this meeting with your question, and what I'll do is I'll forward that to another club who is actually doing something along those lines, and she may be able to give you some more technical stuff because I wasn't involved with that, but I know that she's done it in this region. So how does that sound, Corey?
Sounds good.
And Mark, Corey, I will send you Doug Logan's email address. Why don't you send him that same question? Give
Okay.
his response to it too.
I'll send it to everybody.
Okay. Yeah, that's those are two people. Doug's it's Doug's baby. He's certainly our expert in this area. And Kim, I'm sure there are other clubs who are doing something as well. I just know because when myself and DG Tom went around, they gave a little presentation to us and showed us some of the materials that they've produced themselves, which are very impressive. Okay, unless there's any other questions, thank you everybody. Thanks everybody for coming tonight, and I'd like to thank Greg and our presenters tonight. We're finishing 20 minutes early. I love it when that happens. I love it, love it, love it. So Greg, unless you have some, I'd like you to sign off, I guess, or to give some parting words, and then we'll close her up for tonight.
I just want to say thank you very much, Mark. Great job again, and I'll send you an email.